Okay, today I've stripped my engine down this morning because we had quite a lot of vibration on the motor, and I've basically put it down to a possible crank not being correctly balanced for this size of piston, because we're running a 70mm YC piston on there, KDX 220. Now we're weighing the piston and it's 110 grams, so that goes into our factor. So we've weighed that. The next thing to weigh is the conrod. Get it nice and level on the scales. Let's zero it again. Hang on a minute. Zero your little monitor. Okay, we're back on zero. So get that nice and steady. Okay, 53 grams. So we'll put that into our calculations. Okay, now to work out our balance factor, we need to determine how much weight we need to put on the conrod here, on the end of the conrod, to get the crank to not roll. Basically, it has to stay in one position. At the moment, it's just, you can see it's just rolling back. So we're going to add a little bit more weight onto it's just a little hook on the bottom. This one, that seems to be a lucky one. Yeah. It's basically sitting now in any position. Using the vice, not the perfect job to use, but it's doing the job for me. I mean, you can get special fancy jigs for this. Some of them have got like roller bearings in them and things, and bearings to do it, but okay, I'm kind of happy with that. So now we get everything that we've done, including the little hook that we made. Re-zero this again and weigh the mass that we've used. Okay, 77 grams. So then we put all of that. You can see I've already done it once and I had to recorrect something. So we got 310 the piston, 53 the conrod, and 77 the mass that we're using to balance the crank there. So then we've got to do the calculations now and see what the balance factor is. Okay, I've done some calculations on this one. Obviously I've got a few things wrong, so I've had to do some corrections here, because we got the weight of the piston was somehow wrong. I don't know how we managed to do that, because the scales must have been lying to me. So the actual weight of the piston and all the bits was 310. So then we had to recalculate everything. So now we got 363 over 77, and then you work out the percentage, and the percentage now I've got is 44%. So that's too low, because horizontal engine, we really want to be running as close as possible to 50% on our balance factor. I mean, I haven't made that good a job of this, but if you want to, I want to plug somebody now. If you want to go to two-stroke stuffing and see some of his videos, the guy's really good. I mean, basically I've just followed his way of doing things, more or less as close as possible. He's a very clever guy. Two strokes, he's for me one of the best on YouTube I've seen. So if you want to get some experience, go and watch this guy. But I like to do my stuff for lambretta boys, so that was just an explanation of how to get your balance factor. Not every crank's right. You change your piston, it changes your balance factor. You go for a heavier piston, it changes again. To get it perfect, I mean, I already had a go with this AF crank earlier and it was much closer. This one's running on 46%. So my AF one is actually much closer to a good balance factor than the one I got from Beat Speed. But looks like I'm going to have to do some modifying on the crank to get the balance factor closer, and we'll carry on. Right, the procedure I've decided to do, rather than drilling holes or putting weight in the back, is literally to take material out of this part of the web at the front. At the moment I've took a mil out of this face, then we're going to do a millimetre out of that face, and so on all the way around, and then we'll recheck again to see how close we are, because we really can't guesstimate how much material we're taking out, so we've got to take it out a bit at a time until we get as close as possible to a proper balance factor. And this is going to take me a long time. Shit. Right, well, after about 4 hours of extensive tweaking, what we've done is we've removed material from this part of the crank, mainly around here, around the webs, where that's not really needed for strength, but it's adding a lot of weight, and it's a bit better gas flowed now, as you can see. So after all the removal of that material, we now have a balance factor of 46.3, which is much closer to the 50 that we require. Now, as the AF crank that we checked earlier had a balance factor of 46%, hopefully 46.3%, we should now have a crank that doesn't vibrate so much. It took about it's really hard. This is the material. I don't know what they made this crank out of, but it's really hard. It took me quite a while to get that down. We took about 2 millimeters out of this material here. So now it's time to put it all back together and pray. Well, don't forget to subscribe and check out Two Stroke Stuffing. He's got some really trick stuff that he likes to do there with two strokes. He's got his little 50 revving up to 17,600 RPM now and 20 brake horsepower. So for a 50cc, that's pretty damn good. Well, see you later.